someone said, if I come to you and then you are to pay me $1 million for consulting, you are not paying for the consulting. You are paying for everything I represent. You're paying for my time. You're paying for my resources. When the person says you are paying me, you're paying everything that person represents. So I think if we look beyond the logo, then we look at the work behind it, then the question of price will no longer be an issue, because it depends on who does what, right? Let's say most times when you go to speak at an event, let's say generally, what you're sharing is not what is new to people, right? It's not even what people have never heard before. Sometimes it's because it's coming from you. They trust your results. They trust what you've been doing over time. They trust that this thing is coming from you. It does work. It's so, and they will have to do it. So they are implementing what is said because of who said it. That's how it is a logo. So part of why people pay that money, the first is because of the person who is doing it. For Xiaomi former logo used to have this straight edge, right? Then a professor in design, computer science and design, had to change it to the curved edges. And for that change, that update alone, they paid millions of dollars. And when the professor was explaining why, he started explaining the calculation, the angle, the degrees, and all of that, and why that is important to what they are building in the company. For the average person, the person will just say, this is just waste of money. Same color, same everything. You just change the edge to curve, just like this. So I think first, you're paying the professor. Imagine if it's a roadside graphic designer, you can't pay that amount of money. The person will just do the curve, right? Yes. So the part of the money or the bulk of that money goes to the capacity of who is behind the work.
Welcome to another great conversation. This podcast called the Knowledge Money Podcast is where every conversation leads to the money. And on this episode again, I have another amazing blockbuster mind, and we are going to be looking at the subject of branding. I have with me another great personality. His name is Dunamis Shiloh, and we will be having a very fantastic conversation. Dunamis, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. Good to see you here. And I look forward to us having a very amazing conversation today.
Of course.
All right. So let's jump straight into it. I've told you this before at my event and other places. I think that with you, branding is kind of something that is spiritual and seems to be a foundation for the things that we do in life, both for businesses and for ordinary individuals. Mm-hmm. Take us on a journey, so to say, why your fixation is so much on this subject of branding as it relates to life and business.
Okay, I think it mainly summarizes my life. I came into Port Harcourt in 2016. Most people don't know this part of me. I came into Port Harcourt in 2016, and on that day, while I was coming to Port Harcourt, I wasn't sure of where to sleep.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like I was reaching out to a relative that I was going to come to stay with the person. I wasn't sure of where I was going to pass the night. So I just carried my stuff. I was actually coming for IT. The plan I had in mind was to come to a church or go to a church and tell them that I can play the keyboard. That was the skill I had. I can play the keyboard for them if they can provide an accommodation for me. So that was the strategy. I got into what was this place? Rumo, and somewhere around Rumo Masi. Saw the church and then entered, told the pastor after the service, and the pastor said, yes, pastor welcomed me. And that was how my journey in Port Harcourt started. I was staying in church. Then that was when we started our online classes on BBM and stuff. So I was doing all of that sleeping in the church. So my present condition then never affected how I was showing up online. I was still doing stuff online. When I show up at events, I still, the way I represent myself, the way I represent what I do. In fact, I had to stop where I was serving on IT because the way my boss spoke to me affected my mind. So I prioritized the peace of my mind. I needed that self-confidence. I needed that that feeling of worth to be able to do what I do online. So when I noticed he was making light of that, at some point, I remember at one time he looked at me and was like, I think something happened. He said, I'm not going to pay you salary. It was in public. And that it affected me some way, and I wasn't comfortable because each time it affected me and it affected how I showed up online. I realized that what I'm doing online at that point was more important, to me, especially where I'm going. So I had to stop that and focus on what I was doing. So I grew from there. From there, I served at strategic hub. That was when I learned digital marketing. So my principle growing up was basically to offer something, offer value in exchange for whatever I need. So from graphic design to digital marketing to everything, it just serves as my personal principle. I think I learned that from my dad growing up. He instilled that value in us. So all of these informed everything I do, from branding to marketing to social entrepreneurship. So I think for me, I remember when I started in marketing at some time, I started opposing the idea of people trying to cajole people into buying. I was more about impact. If this thing cannot truly help people, tell them the truth. Tell them what it can do and its limits, right? So I was after that at that point. So for me, I feel this thing has to come from that true sense of meaning and worth. What I define branding, I believe what a brand is actually is the meaning behind a brand, right? If you're trying to communicate what is not there, you're not communicating the right thing. And the truth is that it might work for the meantime, but at some point, people will find out that this is not what you're telling us it is. And you will lose their trust in the long run. I think it's better to say this person can't do something than to say this person lied about what they can do and what they cannot do.
Awesome. Awesome. When it has to do with branding, I mean, online, I tried to find out how much exactly, but I couldn't find out how much exactly. I mean, if MTN changed this logo from the box to the colloidal stuff, or something with Google, just like slapping colors and all that. To the average layman, people pay millions for this kind of things. And the layman thinks this is about slapping colors or switching strokes. Can you, as an expert in branding, give us I mean, if you can talk and educate a layman, is it about strokes? What exactly? Why should somebody just pay millions for just changing a letter or putting a color? That's why I feel like, is this something that is spiritual and deep,
Someone said that if I come to you and then you are to pay me $1 million for consulting, you are not paying for the consulting, right? You are paying for everything I represent. You're paying for my time. You're paying for my resources. You are paying me, right? And when the person say you are paying me, it means something heavy. You're paying everything that person represents. So I think if we look outside, if we look beyond the the logo, then we look at the work behind it, then the the question of price will no longer be an issue, because it depends on who does what, right? If let's say most times when you go to speak at an event, most times let's say generally, when you go to speak at an event, what you're sharing is not what is new to people, right? But then it's not even what people have never heard before. Sometimes it's because it's coming from you. They trust your results. They trust what you've been doing over time. They trust that this thing is coming from you. It does work. It's so, and they will have to do it. So they are implementing what is said because of who said it. That's how it is a logo. So part of why people pay that money, the first is because of the person who is doing it. For Xiaomi former logo used to have this straight edge, right? Then a professor in design, computer science and design, had to change it to the curved edges. And for that change, that update alone, they paid millions of dollars. And when the professor was explaining why, he started explaining the calculation, the angle, the degrees, and all of that, and why that is important to what they are building in the company. For the average person, the person will just say, "This is just waste of money. Same color, same everything. You just change the edge to curve, just like this." So I think first, it's if that's for you're paying the professor. Imagine if it's a roadside graphic designer, you can't pay that amount of money. The person will just do the curve, right? Yes. So the part of the money or the bulk of that money goes to the capacity of who is behind the work. That's number one. Number two, yes, what is called copyright, right? Sometimes people don't know this, but some colors are copyrighted. You can't just say you want to start a brand and then you use red. We all know Coca-Cola, especially if you are in the beverage industry. You can't just use red. Blue as well. My advice is usually stay away from primary colors. All these colors that you know their names, red, blue, green, all of these colors. Most times they are copyrighted. And not just colors, the shape, right? So when you meet an average designer, what they do is that they work with what is available, right? An expert does not work with what is available. They create. So you are paying for that creation. They are creating every shape. If I'm doing a logo for you, for instance, you're a photographer, I'm not going to use a vector image of a camera that's already online. You know, most times people would think that they are free. They're not free. Sometimes it's just people uploaded it on social media and it shows on Google. You download it and use on logo. It depends on where you're going, right? If you're going far, you get to a point where someone will say, this is my creation. You have to pay for it. And if you are serious about your brand, you wouldn't want to involve your brand in something that is not credible. So if I'm to create that kind of logo for you, I will have to draw the camera from scratch. So that's what you're paying for. You're paying for original work. And that original work is not just about the logo. You're paying for all the original materials that comes to it. If I'm doing that logo too, I'm going to create a color that doesn't exist. That's how it works. I don't create colors that exist. Even if it's yellow, I'm going to give you a unique shade of yellow that is unique to you. You know EcoBank, for instance. EcoBank blue is not everywhere. Facebook blue, we know Facebook blue, right? These are the work that goes into designing brand identity that seem like it's expensive, from the person to the original work to the copyright.
Amazing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've worked with personal brands. This is a question. You've worked with personal brands. You have to with organizations.
Okay.
Which is harder for you to work with, persons or organizations?
It depends. It depends. I think personal brands, they have unique issues. With personal brands, I think it depends. For personal brands, it's easy. It's easier because no, sorry, it's not easier with personal brands because these people already know what works for them. They're already used to it. It's difficult for them to hand over their lives to you, to start telling them what you're doing. You have to pivot. You have to start doing this. This is why you're not getting it wrong. It's actually difficult. For business, they know that what you're doing has nothing to do with them. The business is an entity, right? So you're working on that entity. It's easier with corporate brands.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so take us through on the journey. I mean, how you make money as a branding expert, right? Most especially how you grew the confidence to price for you price your work.
Okay. First, I think I have a mission. I have a destination. Right. Every morning, I see that picture. I see myself consulting for world presidents. I see myself consulting for the top personal brands in the world. I've seen it. So each time I wake up in the morning, I see that picture, and I make sure everything I do in the present contributes to that future. So I show up online, right? I'm not showing up primarily for the money. I'm showing up because I know where I'm going to. So I show up online, right? I try to help as many people as possible with the knowledge that I have. So that's showing up online, and pushing the my own ideologies regarding personal branding, regarding branding in general. So it attracts people. So the content attracts people to me, and they begin to ask, "What do you do? Right? How do you help me?" So the next thing I do from there, when people get to see my content, sometimes through referrals or any other means, right? It's discovery session where we get to explain, to understand what their problem is, because most times people come to your DM and tell you that they need help in this way or that way. I believe strongly that if you have a problem, you also do not know the right question to ask about that problem. If you are ignorant about something, you also do not know the right question to ask about that thing. So that's why discovery is always important. People just meet you, this is my problem, I want this. Whereas it's not that, right? So we start with discovery session. From discovery session, then we begin to profile solution, this, that, and that. So sometimes it's where I have to come in the implementation. Sometimes it's when I have to come in providing strategy, workable document that they can work with, especially if they have a team, provide the document. Sometimes it's where I have to um, um, coach you, because sometimes it's not about giving people what to do, is to helping people, is helping people in that journey of transformation. So sometimes that's what I do. So at all of these stages or these phases, there are different cost price and costings attached to it. Right now, I don't do. I'm trying as much as possible not to do all of these things I just said. Now that's why we just started a startup, a brand tech company that helps organize all of these things and put them in a system where the app does pretty much everything. We are looking forward to when the app can also create designs for you, like Canva and ChatGPT. So the app just does everything branding, from discovery to consulting to strategy development to designs to mentorship to execution.
Awesome. So, I mean, I know that a lot of designers who started out, brand guys who started out, have a problem charging for their knowledge.
Okay.
How were you able to, you
Okay.
know, become confident enough or to charge your worth? Or is it because of these processes you mentioned? Or was there something like the rejigging of your mindset, something like that?
Okay. I believe when it comes to pricing, I know that it's relative from people to people, and I think the basic is the more you improve on yourself, the more you see the value or the worth of what you do, and the more you tend to place more value in it. And if you place more value, definitely the price attached to your time and service increases. So I think that's basically it for most of us. And then sometimes it's just arrogance. That's the truth. It's arrogance. You just try to test something and it actually works. Yes, the first time I charged 100,000 per design, it worked. So as it works, I said, I'm never going to come down. Right. So I think it's just that plain arrogance. Sometimes to people to, yeah, sometimes it's people to people, right? And then other times too, I believe there are milestones in your life. Mm. It's not you don't jump those milestones. You know where, when um you've gotten to the place where you dream, that used to be your dream, right? Once you get there, you know that a lot of things around you will change. Sometimes the people you hang around with and the places you go, a lot will change. And so why trying to change that? I think I've heard you say something before that part of why you charge what you charge for your time is because you're trying to what's it called, make sure you don't get people who are not truly worth your time, and
Yeah.
to reduce the amount of people that on serious people, right? So I think that's part of it for me. So when you get to that point, you know that, and at this point in your life, there are lots that are more important. So you tend to increase the price to make sure that those that come around you are the people that truly what the price of oil represents. So I think number one is to you once you grow. It's what most designers do is that once they add to their equipment, right? They tell you that I can't be using a laptop of 1.2 million and be charging 5K and 10K per design. So once you improve on your gadgets, you increase your price. Once you improve on your knowledge, you increase your price. That's fine. Once you get to a particular milestone in your life, you already know your goal is to charge 1 million per design, for instance. And to charge 1 million, there are milestones, 100K, 500K, and 1M. So you know that for 100K, it's probably when you started achieving like a quarter of that goal, you know. So you have that milestone. I think people shouldn't get to certain phases in their life unprepared, right? You should predict, you should know where your life is going, and you should prepare for it, right? So you prepare that this is what will happen. Sometimes when you have a clear strategy for your life, right, you won't be moved. I know when there was this friend of mine that was designing. When I told him that I used to charge 5K, then he was like, you're too good. You have really be charging 5K. But I know that at that point, I know that this is not the time for me to scale. I know that I was definitely going to scale, but not right now. Right. So I'm not going to follow giving to this pressure. Right? I know exactly when I'm going to scale. And I know that right now I charge way more than him. Right. So it's just to have a strategy for your life. You will not be moved by distractions.
I remember one thing happened between the two of us. You remember when you refused to read the book on church because of the title of the book, right?
Yeah.
Prior to the time you work as a branding expert. And I know right now you've seen titles of books or designs, things that are kind of whack or just off to you, but I mean they're amazing. In your work, how have you because I see you post these things online and you see something you post online. So how has that experience been for you? Like something you think that is offensive, but at the same time, it's amazing. So tracing from back then when they didn't want to open up to just read the book because of the title, and now.
Okay. I believe new knowledge is greeted with curiosity, not acceptance or rejection. Yes. So what I learned at that point in my life was to I know at that time I was just coming out from my church, Deeper Life, and then we are heavily. My dad is a pastor, and then I saw myself as the defender of the faith. So anything that doesn't look like anything that doesn't look like God. You know that point where when I was in school, in school, there was when I started teaching about the gospel of grace in school, there was one guy that wanted to fight me. He wanted to even kill himself because he felt he was doing the work of God. I remembered where that part in the Bible where people want to actually kill people thinking that they are doing God's work. So that guy wanted to fight me. But before I left, the guy was like my follower. The guy was sowing seeds to me safe at his school. So when I left, when I after that phase of my life was when I was that defender of the faith. So anything that doesn't really look like what I know, I was ready to fight it. That was that phase. Then I grew, started learning, and understand that people have the reason for what they do, right? So I got to the point where I genuinely want to help people, right? Because I know that my journey, right? My training, my unique experiences, all of that are like what God is using to prepare me for where I'm going to. So both of us might be brand strategists. We might be doing the same thing, but our experiences are not the same. So you can't be thinking like me, right? All of those, I believe that all of your experiences in the past, they are necessary for where God is taking you to. So all of those you can't be the same with others. So I see things differently. So I believe that I have that unique gift to at some point my kid brother, this gift is actually both spiritual and psychological too. I was in fellowship one point, so I was doing word of wisdom, all of this stuff. And my brother was after the sermon, my brother was like, I was using psychology in church. I was like, how is it psychology? For me, the two, there's no difference, right? So I can look straight in your eyes and tell you something. For me, I don't know when it's psychology and when it's the gift, right? So I know that about myself. So, and I genuinely want to use these gifts to help people, right? So when I see things that are not right, I know people do certain people act based on their level of exposure. If I give you red and blue, there's no way you would choose yellow. There's no way you would choose pink. You would choose the options available to you, right? So my job is to help people see the reason, the meaning behind their actions, right? See what this will possibly result to in, right? So that's why I do what I do. It's not actually to drag people. It's just to make, if they are not seeing it, let others learn from it, right? So I just understand that most people they don't take time to have a plan for what they are doing. They don't take that time. They just do, like recently, I see that blue is trending. Everybody's using blue for their flyers, for their design. They think because maybe because they see others using it, or maybe they feel that's the universal color for knowledge, right? So they want to use it. But there are a lot of colors. Forgetting that when it comes to branding, actually, differentiation is superior to meaning, is superior to you aligning with your industry. The first thing you have to do is to stay different first. So everybody is using blue. At some point, I didn't know the difference between this event and this event and that event because everybody is just using blue, right? So that's it for me. I want people to actually see the what it actually means, the actions. You think that you are doing what you're doing to appeal to your audience, but you are not getting the results. Your audience, you are losing them, right? So that's what I do. I try to make you see the meaning, try to make you see the results, try to make you see that this is not working and show you a more excellent way.
Awesome about that. Okay, you're a Christian that I know.
Of course.
Well, if because people say these things, business is business. We go to the market, we don't know whether we are buying from somebody who was in the coven in the night, or somebody who was in the club, or somebody who was in church. You just go there to do our business, right, and to buy. You have your value system. So if a pornographic company, for example, comes for you to do brand visuals for them or brand identity for them, it's business, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then would you accept or not? If no, have you ever been in that kind of situation where you had to reject a proposition just because
Okay,
of something like that?
this is quite interesting, but this is it. The strength of a brand is not in what they do; it's actually in what they can't do. Louis Vuitton, sometime at some point, where
Strength of a brand is not
not
in actually what
what
they
they
do,
do, it's
but in
what
what
they
they
can't
can't
do. Yes, Louis Vuitton at some point launched a premium bag, right? It was they had a limited edition, a limited number. Right? When they got to the time they were supposed to sell out, they weren't able to sell out, right? And then they had two options: to either reduce the price and sell these goods, or discard it. You know what they did? They discarded it. Goods worth $38 million. They discarded it because they actually, this is, instead of burning this product, why don't we sell it less? But immediately they sell it less, immediately that price goes low, it ceases to become that premium brand, that premium luxury brand, and they sold it. So that action alone has established in the minds of everyone around the world that this is the standard of brands. This should be the standard of a brand. It's not in what you can do or what you do, it's in what you can't do. Once you say you're a luxury brand and you can actually reduce your price, you're no longer a luxury brand, right? So That's how it is with brand. If you are building a brand, you should have your no-go areas. That's what truly defines your DNA, your no-go area, right? A human cannot just, there are laws that makes humans, that all animals do. We breathe, animals breathe, right? But there are things that humans cannot do that when humans do, you call this person animalistic, right? That thing has shifted their brand. You're no longer a human. So we start calling you an animal, right? That's how it is with brands, right? If this is what you stand for, there are a lot that you shouldn't. For this question, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way, because there's no way. I think the question maybe could be about alcohol. Then I know that yes, we have to. Yes, yes, there should be a way around it. But for this one,
What of condom company?
conduct.
Like Durex.
Okay. Yes. Yes. We know that. Yes. There's
Because we see what they do online, and many of us post their stuff. I said, this guy is crazy and all that kind of
thing
stuff,
is
especially during the COVID-19 time.
There's a lady that told me that she's after sexual purity, right? Sexual purity sounds religious. So I told her that in this sexual purity, what's your goal actually in this sexual purity? Is it just to stop young girls from having premarital sex? Is that your goal? You're just like their parents and their church leaders. That's just what you're doing. But then I started explaining that to her and tell her that married people can actually be sexually pure. If you're actually thinking, when you see condom, you're actually thinking premarital sex, there's something wrong. Yes, so why would we think that? Because of course, married people do this. It's contraceptive, right?
Yeah.
Yes, preventive measure. So why are you just looking at this way? So if I'm to work with, I'll be careful, right? I would like to stay at the background.
Use another narrative
Yes.
for yourself.
But then, of course, there's nothing wrong with it. It depends on what you're seeing, right? Of course.
Okay. So, but has there been a situation where you had to turn down a brief based on this value system, or having looked through the entire perspective and didn't find a narrative that could be in alignment somehow, like with the condom explanation?
I see, this is the way I see it. I believe when people actually come to meet you for such thing, there's something already fundamentally wrong with your brand in the first place. For them to now see what you do and believe you can do that, you're not doing branding right. So to tell the truth, there has never been any never, because I don't position that way. There's no way you can look at me. If my none of my
Yeah, but what if they don't know? For example, those of us that do public speaking, I mean, they see all the things that I do online,
okay
and then I go to this organization and they tell me to pad
to
the budget, meaning that after
Okay,
they have paid, they are going to give me
that kind of
this,
stuff.
those kind of things. I mean, they see all the things I do online. They see that I'm not, but still,
They still want to.
they came to me with that proposition.
I believe you have your way, and there's something that you're doing recently. You already you are. I feel there's something that you do recently, which it's usually my best way. I believe prevention is better than cure. That's what you're doing right now because of experiences you've had. So you're trying to educate people and tell them this is who you are. Let them not even bring it your way. I see in the post you make about money, about time, and all of that.
Yeah.
So what if you are aware of all these things before now? You understand that these are what you are going to these are what you are going to meet on your way, and instead of reacting, you started you added it into your brand messaging, and you're posting it ahead of time. I'm telling you, you never have that experience. So the way I see things is that's your strategy comes in. Strategy is to work from the end, right? So when you work from the end, you understand that these things will come. You start planning to make sure they don't come in the first place. That's the way I appreciate.
So we'll be ending this conversation with, let's look at the money part. All right. Right now, you've become a licensee for TEDx
At the George Road, yes.
Yeah, the George Road. And then you're also telling me how you are preparing for trainings, academy, and all that. A lot of people who are in the branding space, all they are thinking is flyer, design, this, that, that. I mean, let's go through the monetization part, your plans and the things you're doing to monetize this knowledge that you already have as a branding expert.
Okay, I think one of the difference between me and every other person is that I'm the product, I'm the brand, I'm the face, right, of everything I do, right? The flyer is not the product. Most people, for most designers, the flyer is the product. I am the product. So when I designed for you, you are happy that I designed for you than the design that I made for you. It's deliberate and intentional that way. So so and I hardly do designs now. So a lot of people, I have people that do designs. So the design is part of it, right? So since I'm the product, everything can come out of me. My time is paid for. Um, I do mentorship, I do coaching, I do trainings. I set a lot of products around strategy. I help people, deliberately want to help people, and this help might come in different ways, right? And they're mostly monetized. So I have a system. I have a community. I have a community, a premium community, and then a general community. For the general community, I usually drop updates, allow conversations. I have a premium community where when I make a post, just like Jesus, he tells a parable, we have the people that he explains those parables to. Yes, I have a community, paid community. That's where I explain the strategies too. Sometimes when things are trending, I post them. I just post, but then I have people where I explain those things to. You will never see me explain those things on social media. Let someone that is using Nokia Touch come and be telling me what in this. You understand? So I have people I explain those things to. So those people to stay in that community, they pay subscription, right? And usually once the year starts, I have a system to guide the people. I feel like I see them like they are my parishioners. I have a system to guide them through the year. For 2026, I have 27 prophecies, brand prophecies for 2026. Yes. For instance, faceless YouTube won't survive next year. Faceless brands will survive. A lot of people think since it's monetization, let's find any means and be putting video. It won't survive because even the algorithm is fighting it. Not to talk of people not seeing a human personality here to connect with. So I have like 27 of these kind of prophecies that will guide brands in 2026. So it's definitely going to be monetized. Then what we are building at Brand Power, it's like yeah, my retirement plan, right? So I'm not going to be doing what I'm doing. There's going to be an automated system. People talk about marketing automation. We are building branding automation, right? This is how a system that helps you do branding automation. We tried it. We tried it earlier this year. What we did was how to transform your personal brand in 40 days. I have 40 lessons, 40 tasks in 40 days. So every day you learn something and then you post something. There's a template for you to post. So every day you learn, you post, you learn, you post, you learn, you post. And before we got to 10, 20 days, we started receiving testimonies and it was amazing. So we are looking at how to automate that, right? So people, you want to achieve whatever result you want to achieve for your brand. You just, instead of coming to me and I tell you this is what to do, this is what to do, you just go in that app. That app tells you what to do and it stays with you through the process. It acts like your consultant, your coach, right? And then as well as we are trying to put AI into AI to it, so it will automatically generate content for you. So yeah, that's what I've been doing so far.
Wow, thank you so much, Dunamis, for having this conversation.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
been an eye opener for myself. I mean, I learned a new thing. I learned a few things that I'm going to post by myself too on my own timeline. All right, so it's a wrap today on this particular episode with Dunamis on this subject of branding. Follow our channel and subscribe to the channel and put on your notifications. My name is Emeka Nobis, and I'm glad to be hosting you on Knowledge Money Podcast. See you in the next episode. Ciao.